Hello, thank you for tuning in. Today, I'd like to talk to you about speaking in your authentic self. And if you don't have time to watch the video, there's an associated article that will be attached in the comments. So what is authentic self? Simply put, it's the ability for you to communicate in a way that only can come from you. Right now, thousands of high school seniors are looking at opportunities to set themselves apart as they apply for college. In the younger levels, there are the same, if not double the number of students applying to private and independent schools all over the country, trying to make sure that their needle is found in a haystack. The truth is that it's not that hard to stand out, but we must find a way to make our superstar story be the one that everyone remembers. One of my favorite moments in helping people understand what authentic self means happened to me some years ago when I was at a high school fair in New Jersey. While I was standing there, there was a group of high school representatives who were crowded around and having a very animated conversation. After a while, I thought to myself, I have to know what they're talking about. And as I got closer, they kept all saying the same thing over and over again. The beekeeper, the beekeeper. I thought that was kind of strange, and so I asked, who is the beekeeper? It turns out there was a young man who was applying to some of the most prestigious boarding high schools in the country. On paper, he was just an average student, an average athlete, an average artist, and an average volunteer. But that isn't what made him stand out. It was the fact that as a 5-year-old, he had become a beekeeper. Now listen to this story. Young man outside playing with his friends gets stung by a bee. Runs to his mom, is crying, doesn't know what to do, and so his mother is trying to calm him down. And she says to him, listen, there are people who raise bees. Bees are good. They provide honey. And in that moment, the mom went and grabbed some honey out of her cupboard and she rubbed it on the bee sting, calming it down and making him feel better. Suddenly, a beekeeper was born. Fast forward a couple of months, and he was raising bees in the backyard, jarring it, selling it, using the money to build his business, and then using the rest of it to donate to charity. If that young man had been applying for schools today, he would have been viral on TikTok. He would have had a huge Instagram following, and I'm sure he would have had a YouTube channel. So how do you tell your authentic self story? For many of us, we just don't think that we're interesting enough to have a beekeeper story. But the truth is that in all of our lives, there's probably something that makes us unique. That when we're presenting ourselves to an audience that doesn't know us well, that we can tell them something that can only come from us. Let me give you an example. There was a student that I had years ago who said he had no superstar story. And we talked, and this conversation went on for a long time. And so at some point in the boredom of the conversation, he started to sing. So I asked him, do you like music? He went on to tell me about his full concerts in the shower, his jam out sessions in the car ride to school, and his ability to provide the perfect playlist for his friends no matter what the occasion. Music was his superstar story. But it wasn't his love of music that made it interesting. It was the fact that he was tone deaf. That while he was sitting in my office singing, he was mixing up the words, not quite getting the song right, and it never really sounded like something you wanted to hear. But still, in his ability to share that story, it was easy to find a way to translate that story into such a way that someone who might be interviewing him, someone that might be reading an essay, could start to hum that song in their head. Suddenly, humming that song in their head made him memorable. And we remember the superstars. So how do you find your authentic story? Well, the first step is to spend some time really thinking about whether or not there is something that you do that is really unique that you would be able to share with an audience. It's important to remember that they may not know all of the information that you do. And so you have to be simple and clear and efficient in your mind. This way, when you are telling them your authentic story, you're able to make an impactful statement. As they say, if someone asks you what time it is, don't build them a watch. In some cases, you may not have that specific thing, or an area that could really be considered something that is mind-blowing to an outside audience. But that's the reason for you to start to find that thing now. Maybe there are those things in your life that you'd like to branch out and try, places where you might fail and learn something, a place where your superstar talents are just waiting to be told, but you haven't given yourself the opportunity yet to take the risk to do it. Now is the time to do that, so that when you have the opportunity to make that elevator pitch, that 30-second, 60-second sale, to make people want to ask you more questions or follow up and get to know you, that you have that in your back pocket. Muhammad Ali once said, "Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee." Your chance to be the beekeeper starts today. You just have to go for it. Stop worrying about checking the boxes or being like everybody else. Stop worrying about whether or not you can be a superstar. We all have it inside of us. It's your chance